First of all, thanks again to everybody that made the trip down to Duke. I thought it was a fantastic show of support for our kids. It's much appreciated. Looking at the film again and looking forward, I think it's important that we understand that while that was a good response, and I'm happy for our kids, we have a long way to go from a maturity level, a discipline level. And we're teaching lessons every day with this group. And, some of them, it seems like we are learning better than others. And we're just continuing to try to bring this group along and give them guidance and help them out as we go through this season. And go ahead. I guess my point is it shouldn't be lost in the fact that just because we won the game, we have plenty of work to do to continue to bring these guys along. We made numerous mistakes, but fortunately we made enough plays to find a way to win the game. But that teaching is continuing from all our coaches and everyone as we try and bring these young guys through. Congratulations. I know the announcement has come out about the monument for Coach Beamer. I think it's just another, obviously well-deserved, but fantastic tribute to a man that set an awfully high standard here. Should be a fun event that goes along with the game. We turn our attention to Notre Dame. The most complete and talented team certainly we've played to date. Really have things clicking in all areas of the game. Made a change at quarterback, and the last 2 weeks they've been very explosive, averaging about 47 points a game, I think. And defensively, through the entire year, they've played elite defense, giving up less than 20 points a game. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for our team. I know we'll have a great atmosphere, but we've got to do a great job of preparing and taking this young squad into this ball game.
You've mentioned Notre Dame playing a guy that started the season as a backup quarterback. Now you guys are in that position. Clemson is down there, number 3 guy. Duke was going to play their number 2 before Jones sort of made a surprise start. I know it's never not been important to develop the backup quarterback, but it just seems far like this is we're in an era now where it's far more important to kind of have that guy ready. Can you speak to just how the backups, I guess, all over the conference and really all over the country have sort of stepped up and become big-time factors for offenses and the readiness of those guys?
Yeah, sure. The best I can tell, they've all played pretty well, too. Certainly not an expert on everybody else's quarterback situation, but the little bit I've seen, it's a really important position, the most important position in this sport. And it doesn't mean if you've got a good one that you're guaranteed to win, but it can certainly cover up some deficiencies if you're really good there. And having another guy ready to play is paramount. I think getting those guys reps and work, throughout the season in the spring and fall camp and in a weekly preparation mode is incredibly important. And I've been in situations where we didn't have one, and it's a scary endeavor. Now it's nobody wants anybody to get hurt or have to take somebody out of the game or any of that stuff to happen, but you better plan for it because it's a real factor.
More on Brian. I mean, you talked like after the game, complimented some of the way he played, but what did you see on film? Anything jump out at you that you hadn't expected, or just kind of how you broke it down, his performance?
Sure. I mean, he played pretty well. I thought he was a little amped up early, but really, I'm not sure that was correct. Going back and looking at the film, I don't. Could have put a little more air on a couple balls maybe, but he was pretty in control. He felt comfortable with the looks. We had a few mistakes, though. We had a poor exchange that could have hurt us on a 3rd and long. We had a couple series there in the second half where it's not all Ryan's fault, but just offensively we didn't get much going on, give ourselves a chance to have success. And so there's certainly some mistakes in there, but for him to get in there and play and against a quality opponent like Duke that I think is going to have success this year and play as well as he did, I think it was a nice performance for him. Now the challenge is, can he turn the page and get ready for a completely different defense with completely different looks in 1 week's time and be as proficient as he was last week.
Staying with the offense, what have you seen from the development of the receiving core? And we kind of talked going in that you didn't have a central guy like an Isaiah or a Cam, but maybe a better all-around group. Has that come to fruition?
I think they're in the process of getting better. The thing that I think we have improved at, everybody always talks about catches, and I understand that's important, but we have not been good on the perimeter the last 2 years. And in terms of blocking, playing without the ball, even when maybe we were better in terms of, physically catching the ball and those sorts of things, we just have not been a physical presence on the perimeter the last 2 years. It's been a huge point of emphasis, and I do see us taking more pride in how we play out there. Certainly we've caught some balls and done some of those things and shared the wealth a little bit, but there's about 6 guys that I think their mentality is improving in terms of how they go play the game, and we keep track of team plays, and team plays are plays that don't make it into the newspaper article. They're plays away from the ball. Eric Kuma had a team play on Dalton Keene's touchdown. He blocked 2 guys on that play. Plays like that, to me, are coming along a little more frequently, which makes me feel better about that room.
When you think about the physical and the blocking, Kuma, you mentioned that he's embraced a little more of that role. Has he been a big part of that?
He's done a good job with that. I think understanding the type of player he's got to be successful. And, I think about Sean Savoy. Sean Savoy didn't catch a ball last week, but he played well. He played well on punt return and has taken a role in that and taken pride in that. And, played well without the ball in his hands, which is something that helps our football team. And so I just think there's an overall mentality that's improving there. It's not where it needs to be, but it's improving. We don't do the whole prima donna deal. Like we do the go play hard without the ball in your hand and help the football team.
I know you're a football coach and you just kind of play the schedule that's in front of you, but I'm curious what you thought about this Notre Dame series and playing them every couple years. It seems to be a series that at least gets the fans pretty juiced up for this.
Sure. It's however that rotation works, you guys probably could figure it out as good as anybody, but it's not regular, needless to say. The math doesn't work out very well, but I do think it's obviously an attractive opponent where you can play home and away. It's a marquee non-conference opponent, and it's been good. It's just a little odd the irregular, how irregular it is in the schedule, but and where they sometimes fall in the calendar. Where the game is. I thought it was really weird 2 years ago. If you guys will think back, I was really proud of our football team 2 years ago. We were on the verge of winning the Coastal Division Championship. We had lost to Georgia Tech at home, and we had at Notre Dame and then Virginia at home. And everybody in that locker room just wanted to play Virginia. They wanted to get ready for that game because they felt so awful about the Georgia Tech game. But we had this non-conference game squeezed in there next to last. I thought that was odd, and our kids handled it really, really well. I'm kind of rambling on. By and large, I love the game. It's just a little odd where the game sometimes falls during the year and the frequency of it.
In the looks that you've seen so far, how do you think Notre Dame's offense has evolved with both behind center now?
Well, I think the first conclusion I jumped to a conclusion, I think, before I even turned the film on, was now all of a sudden, they must be throwing the ball better or more frequently. They have been more efficient throwing the football, but I think the thing that he's done is he's still made plays with his feet. I mean, he's been mobile back there. He's scrambled, tucked the ball, gotten a first down, or hit an open receiver. He's made a lot of plays moving around kind of within the confines of the offense, which I think has really boosted them because they can run the football. They do have talented guys on the outside. They are very good on the offensive line. And now they have a guy back there playing at a really high level.
The offensive line, you got Darcel back and switched, Chung back to guard. I mean, is that kind of where you think you're settling in, and how did you kind of see their performance?
I thought, yes, to answer your question, I think that's where it's settling down. We still have Silas, who has played well for us. That's kind of working back. That should be good to go. I thought our performance was good at times. I feel like that everywhere, to be honest with you. But we show glimpses of really doing things well, and then at times I'm disappointed. I feel like we let some people off the hook. We could have hurt them with a little bit better execution on some bigger plays. So, but yeah, I think that's the lineup that we're kind of leaning towards.
You mentioned Notre Dame's defense earlier. What makes them so effective? Just sort of a 10,000-foot look at them.
Well, they have the defensive line to me stands out in terms of a little bit like last week, in that they're a movement team, and they will play some man coverage in the back end and are pretty darn good at it. They've got them flying to the football. They're aggressive, and making it hard for people to run the football. It kind of all starts with that, is finding a way to run the ball, and everything builds off of that. And people haven't had much success with that, and then they've gotten behind the chains and they've been able to pin their ears back and really get after the quarterback.
What Bud did defensively, rushing 3, dropping 8, certainly took some pressure off that young secondary. Is that a sustainable approach as the year goes on, or was that a nice get your confidence back and then take it from there?
Well, I think the short answer to that is it's probably about like everything else. A little bit of it is good. Too much of it's probably bad for you. I think we'll be able to mix that in with what we're doing, combined with some things we've traditionally done. So I don't know that anybody's going to all of a sudden mistake us for just a 50 defense, but I think it'll certainly be a part of what we do.
How encouraging was it that he went that route and then you got pressure rushing those 3, and how well the down lineman played? Certainly.
I know the first time they handed off the full draw and we were in drop 8, and Ashby knifed through there and made the tackle at the line of scrimmage. I know that's a deflating feeling as an offensive coach when you're having a hard time running the ball into that look. So that's the two things that can hurt that are the quarterback standing back there in the pocket for all day, and them being able to run the football. And when you take those things away in that defense, you're pretty much in control.
Couple more.
There's been a rash of transfers with the new rule after 4 games. Now you guys have had 4 games. Have you had more conversations with players? Have you had, how has that affected you guys now that you have played the 4? And if you've got avoided transfers, how have that kind of gone about?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting scenario. I don't, I read Coach Saban's comments on it the other day, and I think everybody's intent was to help protect the young players in the game in terms of the playing them and being able to redshirt. The scenario we've all talked about a million times, where you got to put a guy in at the end of the season and he hasn't played all year, and he burns his red shirt. And I'm not sure we all quite understood the big picture ramifications. That's why I always take a little bit more of a cautious path about making changes, because I really would like to try to understand the big picture ramifications. And now it seems like every time I read the paper or read an article, it's involving something along those lines, and how it's all going to work out, I just don't know. I'm not sure anybody knows, but something that we'll kind of have to feel our way through as we move forward.
Anybody else for Coach? Last one.
Coach, you guys played in a big primetime game last year against Clemson. What kind of lessons do you and your guys take into this game on primetime this year?
Well, I mean, we played in a big primetime game at the first of the year this year and at the first of the year last year. So, I mean, the stage shouldn't change how we prepare and play. We've played some really good people on big stages, and we'll be ready for this one. But I've always steered clear of the stage defines how we prepare. I think we've got to do a great job. We've proven that we can't handle not doing a good job preparing. And if we do a great job, we'll at least have a chance. And we've got to take that same mindset moving forward, regardless of whether the game's on TV or at night or in the morning time or wherever it is. We've got to be ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Coach.